Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-woo!
Well, good morning, YouTube. Hi, guys. That's right. It is a hump day. Wednesday, the hump day of the week. But not only that, it is the hump day of the rally. Here we get 8 days of sales. We've gone through 4. Today starts 5, 3 more. So it is kind of the hump day of the rally. We're halfway through. And it looks like we've got one bike up on the lift already this morning as we opened up the curtains. But not a lot of other movement here. Kind of typical here, a little bit slow in the morning. But as you can see, the weather is beautiful. Nice clouds. There is a chance of rain today, but we're hoping it'll be minimal. All right, guys, it looks like we've got an escaped convict walking around. Amanda says he bought a cholo shirt to try to blend in. It's not working. All right, guys, it is almost 11 a.m. and people are starting to show up and mill around. So Katie's adding some more fuel fragrance to the bike today. Today we're putting in the HOMESTEAD Daddy, and she's going to start this thing up. We'll let it run all day long. Guys, got the soft tail up on the lift working on it. I think it's only the 3rd bike we've had in this morning. I didn't record a lot of finishing up on a battery teardown video that you guys will see next week most likely. So try not to mix footages too much. So a little bit slow recording here today, but nothing's really been happening that much. I believe we've got this beautiful road glide in line as well that we'll be taking care of next. All right, guys, get a few more bikes in. This one here is going to be getting love jugs on it. Now, with this bike being mostly flat black, the customer opted to go with the flat black Coolmaster. Hopefully I'll remember to get you some footage of that after the fact. Gentleman came by to see us. He's a fan of the channel. What's your name, sir? Jim. So Jim brought this shirt, the 2003 Laconia shirt that he bought here in 2003, and he had Paul Tuttle and those guys all sign it. Because remember, that was really big, the whole Orange County Chopper thing back then. Well, he wore the shirt here again today and had me sign it right next to Paul Tuttle. I think that's kind of cool. So it's pretty neat. All right, and there we go. The matte black, or flat black as we call them, on the denim black bike. Looks really, really good. Hi guys, about 20 minutes after 1 this afternoon, and we got a rain shower coming in. Luckily the skies over there look pretty blue. Hoping it'll be short-lived. Look at this, guys. You can see as the flow of water comes through our tent, you can just see the pollen floating in the river. The pollen is a challenge that we face every year here. It is just god-awful. Everything gets coated yellow on a daily basis. And we hoped that the rains earlier this week had washed most of it away, but as you can see, there's still more coming. So it looks like the storm was very short-lived, and now it's starting to look beautiful again. Everything is still wet, but I'm sure it'll dry out pretty soon. We are getting some puddling over here, so you gotta be careful where you step because you can flood your shoe out pretty fast. Alright guys, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon and we've got ourselves caught up. No more bikes in the lift. It was never a very busy day, just kind of slow, steady. There's still a lot of motorcycles in the parking lot, but not a lot of people walking around. I think many of them might be out doing demo rides. Anyway, Katie just made me a sandwich for lunch, so I'm gonna take a break from what I was working on and eat that. Try not to fill up too much because we are going to the Mexican restaurant tonight with some subscribers and friends of ours. Looking forward to that. Guys, since it's kind of slow today, I've actually been working on another project and I thought that I was going to record it as its own video, but I really don't think I'm going to. So then I decided I wasn't going to record it at all, but you know what? Maybe I will throw it in here. So one of the things I've wanted to put in Goliath for quite some time is an exhaust gas temperature gauge. And I believe at one time there was one because in the old exhaust system, when I took it out, I did find a bung that was welded in there for it, but there hasn't been an exhaust gauge temperature or a pyrometer in here since I've owned it. And I think that's an important thing to have, especially because I'm planning on doing some tuning to this in the near future. So I want to see some befores and afters and make sure we keep those engine temperatures safe. I'm trying to find a place to put that pyrometer is a whole nother story, but I'm also putting a boost gauge in here because the boost gauge that's in here, because this was a metric truck built in Canada, it's all in kPAs instead of PSIs, and it's all run off of the engine control system based on the sensor right here. And I don't know, but I've always felt that it's just bothered me that it wasn't in PSI, and I feel that maybe there's an accuracy thing. So I thought putting a mechanical gauge in here, one, it gives me something to gauge against to see how accurate it is, and then I don't have to do the conversions in my head from PSI to kPA, whatever. And luckily my intake manifold is already drilled and tapped, so all I have to do is put in the adapter, route the hose. So right now I am running the wires in the hose through the firewall and getting that part taken care of, and this is how I'm doing it. So right up here we already had a grommet where the main wiring harness comes in, so I've popped the grommet out. The yellow casing and the black and red wire, that is for the pyrometer. I have not run the hose for the boost gauge out just yet. And then from inside the truck through the tack hole, you can kind of see where those wires come through the firewall right up there. But I want to mount the gauges right up here on this A pillar, but there was no way to get them from there to here without going down and up. So I drilled the hole right there. And now I'm gonna modify this grommet. The inner hole is a little bit too small, but the outer hole is good. That way I can run the steel braided hose that I'm using for the boost gauge. I know it's a little overkill, but I like to do things overkill. I could use the thin flexible plastic hose as well, but this is just a whole lot nicer. And run that through there and run the pyro gauge wires through there and get at least all the gauges and everything mounted in here, and all that is done. And then they said hooking up the boost gauge will be really easy. The EGT might be a little bit more challenging. All right, and here I'm pre-wiring my lighting harness so that it can split right here. This will go to the lighting, this will go to the ground so that the gauges light up once they're installed. Now I'm just gonna loom that, leave it a little extra long. All right, there we go. That'll be enough to get it at least through the hole in the dash, and then I can figure out where I'm gonna route it from there. Okay, I've got my pressure line coming through, my light kit, and the plug for the pyrometer all coming through. Ideally, I'm going to mount the gauges right up here someplace. There are already a couple of screws there, and I think maybe I'll just use those screws and mount this gauge cluster right here. I don't know if I want it that high. I may end up moving it down here and just using some more self-tapping screws. Haven't made up my mind yet. Okay, and I thought where it was a little too high, so I used one of the existing holes, moved the whole thing down. Now it's just a couple inches above the dash. I think that looks good. So I need to loom up those wires back there, but they come up, they go through the grommet so they're protected. That'll work. So all that's left in here is this this red wire right here. It's gonna go to key power. This red wire here goes to lights. The blue wire is gonna be the ground for the lights. And then the black wire coming out here is gotta go to an engine ground. The yellow wire goes over to the actual EGT. And then this hose will get routed this way and down to the intake manifold. All right, as you can see, I had to put my adapter in there. It's actually a bushing. I had to put a bushing into the intake and then the adapter to go to the compression fitting onto that, but then the hose routes up, disappears with all that stuff, comes up here and then into the firewall. So now the boost gauge is functional. That is a 100% mechanical gauge. It's just gonna take the air pressure that's in the intake and push the needle on the gauge. The only electronics that gauge needs is just for the lights, power and ground, which I haven't wired in yet, but I will. You know, I'm really glad that this already had the fitting in it because I thought I was gonna have to drill it. And drilling when it's on the vehicle, you've gotta be very careful. Luckily, because I've got the boot really close, I was gonna put the boost fitting here. That way I could just take off this boot. I could pack it full of rags in there so that no metal shavings got past that point, drill it, and then vacuum it out and clean it really good, without actually disassembling the entire intake manifold. Hi guys, it is now 6:45 and you can see this place is clearing out. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this thing off. I know it's a little early, but there's nobody here.
Enjoy the silence.
All right, and for the engine ground, I used that lug right there. So I added the wire, took out that bolt, and grounded right directly to the engine block. Now, because Goliath is old, there's a lot of corrosion. When I took that out, I cleaned the block surface, I cleaned the rust off of the bolt, I cleaned the battery cable terminal that bolted there as well. So hopefully we got a really good connection there. Well, because it's now 6 o'clock and we had dinner plans that have now been canceled, I think I'm gonna stop on this. So like I said, boost gauge is done, just need to hook up power and ground to the light. The wire for the exhaust temperature gauge is routed, zip tied, everything's over there where it needs to be. I just gotta drill and tap a hole there and I don't have the right size tap to do that, so it can wait. The ground is done. So all that's really left is to drill that hole for the exhaust probe and then hook up keyed power to the exhaust gauge and then power and ground to the lights. And we'll be done, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to drop this hood now, clean up my tools, wash my hands, and get ready for dinner. All right guys, so like I said, we had dinner plans with Scott and Claire Marie tonight at El Rodeo restaurant, and Scott and Marie had to cancel. I guess Scott was feeling a little bit under the weather, so they weren't gonna be able to make it. And we were talking with Todd, and he had plans with Chris and his wife to come to the same place. So we decided to come anyways without them. It's sad. We were really looking forward to having dinner with them, but it is what it is, and maybe we'll catch up with them later this week and have dinner with them. I just hope Scott's feeling better. All right, guys, back out at the Speedway after a wonderful dinner with some really good people. So, you know, Todd from Heroic was there, and then Chris and his wife, Jenna, and of course, Katie and Talon with me as well. Had a really good time. I do wish Scotty and Claire Marie could have made it as well. That would have been great. And even if they would have brought Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Wish you could have been there. But, you know, all in all, today was an okay day. It wasn't great. It stayed kind of a slow, steady. We did not make sales from last year, but we did beat sales from 2022. So all in all, can't really complain about that. And we got some work done on Goliath. I finished up that recording that battery video that I'm going to put out next week. I've still got to edit it, of course, but I feel like I got stuff accomplished today. I wish business would have been better, but it seemed like there was a lot more motorcycles coming into town today. A lot of people that came here said they saw a lot of bikes pulling in. So I think the second wave, you know, the second weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, is going to be good. I think it's going to be at least better than the last couple of days have been. That was just a little bit of a lull in the middle of the week, but now we're past the hump on hump day. Then hopefully everything will work out good. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Till the next time I see ya, keep those engines running.
Happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day.
Get happy.
Yeah.
Get Geico. 50